Hi, I'm Jeff with Sarracenia Northwest. Now, just like regular plants, carnivorous plants are prone to pests such as aphids, thrips, mealybugs, and scale. So in this video, I'm going to show you 7 pesticides that are safe to use on your carnivorous plants. With each pesticide, I will go over how it works, its pros and cons, and then towards the end of the video, I'll demonstrate how to apply the pesticide on a couple of plants and some precautions you should know. Each section is time-stamped, and you can find relevant sections by taking a look at the timeline below. Now, before we jump right in, I want to emphasize that whichever product you choose to use, always check the label to make sure the formulation is safe to use on plants. It should say so on the bottle, and always follow the directions provided by the manufacturer. Now, the first product I want to talk about is neem oil. Neem oil is extracted from the nut of the Indian neem tree. Now, neem works in several ways. It causes pests to stop feeding, it interferes with their reproductive cycle, and it softens their exoskeleton. Neem oil extracts work on insects and mites and has been shown to prevent and inhibit fungal growth. So neem is useful as both a pesticide and a fungicide. Various brands of neem are available, and you find it in concentrate or prepared formulations that don't require any mixing. If you've never used neem before, I recommend using prepared formulation. Now, the advantage of using neem is that it's very safe to use on all carnivorous plants when used as directed. It's effective on a wide variety of pests, including spider mites. It also has very low toxicity to mammals and birds, which makes this very safe to use around your pets. Insects are also very slow to develop resistance to neem due to multiple compounds in the oil. And finally, neem is approved for organic gardening in all 50 states. And now for the cons. The downside of using neem is that it stinks. It smells like a combination of citrus and sulfur. Now, some people are okay with the scent, others can't stand it. Neem is also slow acting and can often take a few days to kill insects. So this product is best as a maintenance pesticide, something that you use regularly to keep pest populations under control. Neem is potentially toxic to frogs and fish, so this might be a concern if you're treating plants near any water feature such as a pond. Neem is also a growth regulator, so it can affect the growth of seedling plants. If you're treating pests on seedlings, you will need another product. Finally, neem breaks down rapidly when exposed to sunlight, usually within 1 to 2 days. So you'll need to reapply frequently if you're treating an active infestation. My final thoughts about neem. Neem is a pesticide we rely on heavily at our nursery because there is very low risk of insects developing tolerance to it, and for us, that's an important feature. The next pesticide is Spinosad. It's a blend of compounds from soil bacterium. It works by overstimulating the nervous system of insects. When they eat or touch this ingredient, their muscles flex uncontrollably and the insect eventually dies. The advantage of Spinosad is that it's very effective on a broad variety of garden pests, including spider mites. It's also safe to use around humans and pets when used as directed. The ingredient also lasts longer than other natural pesticides. Most natural pesticides break down within about 24 to 48 hours. Spinosad can last up to a week on a plant. Finally, Spinosad is approved as an organic pesticide. The disadvantages of Spinosad is that it can cause mild skin irritation in some individuals, but that's true with nearly any pesticide. Insects also have to ingest the ingredient to have an effect. It doesn't work very well if the insect just comes into contact with Spinosad, so it can take some time for pests to die off. Insects can also develop a resistance to it if you use it too often, so it's best to switch it out periodically. Overall, I like Spinosad. It works well on all types of plants, including those with soft leaves such as sundews and butterworts. It's one of my favorite pesticides. Pyrethrin is a pesticide ingredient extracted from chrysanthemums. This ingredient has been around a very long time, and it works by overstimulating the nervous system of insects. So, it has a similar effect as Spinosad, but works on a different physiological pathway. Now, the main advantage of using pyrethrins is it has very low toxicity with humans and pets. It's organic, it's 100% biodegradable. It's also safe to use on all carnivorous plants. The disadvantages of pyrethrin is that it's very short acting. It breaks down quickly in sunlight and lasts for only several hours. Insects also have to come in contact with the ingredient, so you have to be very generous and spray every part of your plant to make sure you get the ingredient where pests could be hiding. There's also conflicting information about whether or not pyrethrin is effective on spider mites, but the main disadvantage of pyrethrin is that many insects are somewhat resistant to it. It's been around for many decades, and with repeated use, insects have adapted to it. Pyrethrin isn't one that we use at our nursery, mainly because we haven't seen it to be effective on some of our more persistent pests, such as thrips and scale. But we mention it because it's useful on aphids. If you see aphids on your plants, pyrethrin will take care of them promptly. However, you will need to spray again if more aphids show up. The next pesticide is insecticidal soaps. Insecticidal soaps are purified potassium-based fatty acids formulated for horticultural use. I want to emphasize that insecticidal soaps are different than homemade solutions using dish soap. Insecticidal soaps are much gentler on plants, whereas dish soap can be very harsh on plants, particularly if you make a mistake when measuring out your ingredients. You're better off using a prepared solution of insecticidal soaps. Now, insecticidal soaps work by penetrating into the insect and causing cells to rupture. They are most effective on soft-bodied pests such as aphids and spider mites. In the past, we used to avoid it because we were concerned about the runoff getting into the soil. Potassium is a mineral, so our concern with the runoff was that the potassium would damage carnivorous plant roots. But after experimenting with it for a while, we changed our minds. The amount of potassium in these products isn't very much, and if you're using this sporadically, then the overall amount that might seep into the soil isn't enough to cause any concern. The advantage of using insecticidal soaps is it has very little odor when compared to neem or pyrethrins. It's very safe to use on Nepenthes, Helianthera, and Sarracenia, generally plants with firm leaves. It's effective on a wide variety of pests, including spider mites, and it has low toxicity to mammals, which makes it safe to use around pets. Pests also have a difficult time developing resistance to insecticidal soaps. Finally, like neem, insecticidal soaps are approved for organic gardening. Now, the downside of using insecticidal soaps is that it will damage plants with tender leaves, such as Pinguicula or Drosera. Always test for sensitivity with these products if you're unsure how your plant might respond. The product also breaks down quickly and washes off, so you have to reapply frequently to get an infestation under control. If you use it improperly, over time, excessive runoff can act like a fertilizer and burn your plant's roots. In general, despite the downsides of it, insecticidal soaps are very effective when it comes into contact with pests, and it's very safe to use around people and pets. It's a good product to use on aphids and spider mites because of their soft bodies. Sarracenia and flytraps tend to be prone to aphids, while Nepenthes and Helianthera tend to be prone to spider mites. And all of these plants respond well to insecticidal soaps because of their tough leaves. If you need to spray sundews and butterworts, consider a different product. Insecticidal soaps can damage their soft leaves depending on the formulation. So far I've talked about neem, spinosad, pyrethrin, and insecticidal soaps. You might encounter products that have a combination of these ingredients. I have a few examples here with me, and these formulations are perfectly fine to use because the ingredients work synergistically with each other. One ingredient will work on one area of the pest, while another ingredient will work on another area. So for instance, here's a product that has insecticidal soap, neem oil, and pyrethrin. The insecticidal soap will help emulsify the neem oil so it can spread more evenly over the plant. Both will also break down the pest's exoskeleton. Neem will also interfere with growth and reproduction, while pyrethrin will work on the pest's nervous system. So, formulations like this have a strong advantage of preventing pests from adapting to any single ingredient. Now we come to the synthetic ingredients. Two notable ingredients are cyfluthrin, such as in this formulation made by Bayer, and cyhalothrin, found in this formulation by Sevin. Both are synthetic versions of the natural compound pyrethrin that I talked about earlier. Like pyrethrin, these ingredients act as nerve toxin. Insects just have to come in contact with them. The advantages of either of these ingredients is they can kill a wide variety of pests quickly. After spraying and the product dries, the product will last for 1 to 2 weeks. So you just have to spray it on a plant, and if a pest lands on the plant, it will soon be affected. They also have low odor issues and are safe to use on all carnivorous plants. The disadvantages are that they're quite toxic to aquatic animals, and so you want to avoid spraying near ponds or any water feature you might have in your yard. They also have no effect on spider mites. Like pyrethrin, repeated use can lead to pest resistance, but more importantly, synthetic pyrethrins have higher toxicity to people and pets, so use them with caution. In general, I would say if you have just a plant or two with a pest, either of these products are great to have on hand. They kill insects quickly and are usually safe on carnivorous plants. It's always best practice, however, to start with the least toxic option, such as one of the organic insecticides. Each situation is going to be different, so I can only give you guidelines here. The last ingredient I'll discuss is Malathion. Now, Malathion is an organophosphate insecticide that is often readily available in garden centers. Organophosphate pesticides are effective and usually pretty safe on plants, but are quite toxic to other animals, including people and pets. It also has to be mixed from a concentrate, adding to the complexity and safety concerns of its use. Here's what's recommended for protection from the label of a product made by Spectracide. Do not apply this product in any way that will contact any person or pet, either directly or through drift. Keep people and pets out of the area during application. On the internet, I found other warnings about Malathion. Avoid skin and eye contact with Malathion. Wear protective clothing, gloves, and eye protection. Wash clothes that come into contact with Malathion separately from other laundry. Because of these types of warnings, there's no reason to use Malathion. As a hobbyist grower, you have safer options than using something heavy-handed as this. So those are the 7 pesticide ingredients you might find at your local garden center. 4 are natural-based and 3 are synthetic, though one of them I don't recommend using at all. As for brands, that's not as important as the ingredient list. Always check the label to ensure the product you have has the ingredients you're looking for, since manufacturers will make several formulations with different ingredients. Once you've chosen which pesticide to use, you will need to spray according to the directions on the bottle. In most instances, you will spray your plant until there is runoff and it's going to look like this. You also want to focus on your spraying where pests tend to hang out. With Nepenthes, thrips tend to hang out near the top of the vine where the new growth emerges. Mealybugs like to hang out in the area where the leaves attach to the vine. Scales often start off on the stems of the plant, and spider mites tend to hang out underneath the leaves. So you want to spray these areas generously until you see some runoff. Thrips, mealybugs, and scale will also attack Sarracenia and Venus flytraps. We haven't seen spider mites to be a problem with these plants, but when spraying Sarracenia and flytraps, just spray the entire plant. Aphids don't commonly attack Nepenthes, but will readily attack sundews, butterworts, Sarracenia, and flytraps. When spraying butterworts and sundews, do a test spray first to make sure the product you've chosen won't cause any leaf damage. This is especially true if the product contains insecticidal soap. You want to make sure that the concentration isn't too high. When spraying these plants, focus the spray in the center. Now for a few precautions about spraying. Always spray in a well-ventilated area. Avoid spraying in direct sunlight. Direct sunlight will speed up the breakdown of these ingredients. And never spray during blazing hot weather. Spraying during extreme heat can increase the occurrence of leaf damage. Spray during the early morning hours or in the evening. You also want to allow the ingredients to remain on the plant for at least 12 hours before you water them or getting the plant wet. Before I sign off, I want to emphasize how important it is to follow the manufacturer's recommendations about reapplication. A single spraying will not eradicate an infestation. Sometimes you have to spray multiple times within a fairly short time frame, and manufacturers will provide the recommendations based on the type of pest you're trying to treat. In a follow-up video, Jacob will share the pesticide we use on a regular basis, how we use it, and how you can use it on your plants. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe to our channel. We produce videos all related to the growing of carnivorous plants. We also have lots of care information on our website, so visit us at growcarnivorousplants.com. And thanks for watching.